Just how you look, it's how you feel. From subtle, natural aesthetics to personalized wellness care, everything we do is intentional. This is beauty with purpose. At Vibe Men's Health, we take that same approach. We focus on what matters most: strength, energy, and performance. Built on real data, real medicine, and real results, we're here to help you look better, feel stronger, and live fully. Come vibe with us today.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 9.
Happy Wednesday, everybody, and welcome into Mississippi Live Weather at 9. I'm meteorologist Gabe Maynor, and again, we're tracking rain chances into that extended pattern. Appreciate you guys for joining us. This is what we're going to be assessing here at the 9 o'clock hour, is that potential flash flood threat. Although it is on the marginal side, that does mean heavy downpours are still possible, and we're continuing that threat into our Friday as that system remains overhead. But it's not just a flash flood threat. We also have a very limited severe weather threat as well, and we'll assess that here in just a moment. So heavy downpours still in play, and honestly still the story heading into the latter part of our work week. But we're also going to be mixing in some rumbles of thunder, or thunderstorms, at least pop-up thunderstorms, continuing over this next 48-hour stretch. And again, a strong thunderstorm not impossible. And when is the drier weather? We're looking ahead to those chances as we move into parts of next week, because finally some light at the end of the tunnel is getting just a bit brighter. The first 12, we're seeing those rain chances stick around into those evening hours, sitting just around 20% coverage overnight. And into the start of our Thursday, going to be hard to come by those rain chances, but does not last long before those rain chances start to pop up once again and extend in that coverage here to North Mississippi. Iuka, an area that has experienced some of that rainfall today. We're 77, dew point currently at 75 degrees. I will say, looking at that reporting station, no wind could mean a foggy start for some getting into our Thursday morning, unless that wind does pick up a bit with that soggy ground. That unfortunately could result in some patchy fog for that Thursday morning commute. 75 degrees, Kosciuszko, a little bit more of a breeze down there in Itala County, 5 miles an hour out of the southeast, building in that moisture once again and setting the scene for some of those afternoon showers for our Thursday. In Cleveland, 79 degrees, 75 degrees, those dew points, and those winds coming at about 3 miles an hour out of the east. So not a breezy night by any means, but definitely feeling that humid air overhead here in North Mississippi. What we're looking at now on our Mama Justice Doppler radar is those limited storm chances up there towards Colbert County and Franklin County in Alabama. Those continue to move right along a boundary, and we've been seeing it over the last hour or so. Just continuing to see those chances stick around right along Highway 72 from Florence, even into parts of, or just east of Iuka as that boundary lifts north. But additional development down there towards Jackson, swapping over our radar sites. You can get a better visual on those, beginning to work their way north of Yazoo City into Chula and Holmes County. And again, another one of these boundaries that are continuing to move overhead. As we track out that entire boundary, I'll actually have to move off screen to do so, but I feel like it's worthwhile to track these out because these are having a bit more thunder, but also a bit of that heavier rainfall as well. So let's get to that latest scan and track this entire boundary. And as it lifts north, we're going to put it at about 24 miles an hour. You can see that we're talking Belzona closer to about 903, Gwynn 907, Chula, we mentioned you, 908, Schraderville 912, Willett 912, Oregon 913, Jaketown 914, and Horseshoe by about 918. So this is where the thunderstorm action continues, but out towards our west, heavier downpours as well as that severe weather threat was in place earlier on over this 24-hour stretch. But here in North Mississippi, dodging a few of those rain chances, but overall has remained below severe limits. But as we look at those severe weather threats, those continue up there towards the Virginia, North Carolina line, right along the Atlantic coast. Looking ahead towards our Thursday severe weather threat, not in existence just yet. But by Friday, there's where that level 1 threat tries to move into parts of the Delta here in North Mississippi. And that's where we could get one of those stronger storms with some gusty winds and heavy rainfall, but also some small hail possible. But you can see just a sliver. If we measure that out from the Mississippi River to the edge of that, about 20 miles. So not exactly moving into North Mississippi, but how that pans out, of course, we'll look at on our Futurecast in just a moment. We have to go back wide to see the overall weather maker, and it's this cold front that continues to move across parts of Kentucky, Missouri, West Virginia, allowing these rain chances to continue. But we are in that warm sector still, and you can honestly see what looks like a low pressure system still trying to develop out there towards Oklahoma City. And just in the northeast Texas section, you get these bands that develop And these bands are what's lifting some of this moisture right here in North Mississippi. So that's where these rain chances are coming from, right along that boundary, and will continue to develop here into North Mississippi overnight as well. You kind of see that boundary initiating there, and will continue as these bands sweep across to allow additional rain chances up the Mississippi River, and doesn't really move too much further east beyond the Mississippi River overnight. As we look at Futurecast, again, there's your rain chances, primarily going to be along and west of the Mississippi River, but a few sprinkles here in North Mississippi. That's what keeps that 20% around overnight. And heading into our Thursday morning, we're mostly dry once again, but another band of rainfall, not just a band of rainfall, but a band of heavy rainfall building its way north and eventually going to be moving north of Jackson and into our neck of the woods by our Thursday afternoon. That's why those rain chances remain pretty calm for those morning commutes. But by the time we reach that lunchtime hour and really beyond into the afternoon, we're 30 to 40% in coverage there, with a few rumbles of thunder expected, as well as the heavy rainfall. This heavy rainfall going to be bringing some rain-cooled air. That'll be a benefit in the larger pattern here in North Mississippi as we enter into those summer months. It's definitely a warmer pattern than what it has been, but adding that humidity, makes it a little bit extra toasty outside. We're going to be looking at those temperatures and heat indices coming up in just a moment, but we're still going to be focusing on those rain chances as that remains the story to wrap up this work week. We're tracking all those rain chances county by county coming up as Mississippi Live Weather at 9 continues right after the break.
At First Choice Bank, we know you can't always make it before the bank closes. With our integrated teller, you can talk to a live person as late as 7 p.m. on weekdays and noon on Saturdays. It's not just an ATM, it's an ITM. First Choice Bank, your choice for banking.
How do you know if your roofer is actually telling you the truth or just trying to sell you something you don't need? I'm Chris with Absolute Restoration. When we come out, we don't tell you what's wrong. We show you with photos, videos, and documentation. You'll see exactly what we see so you can make your own decision. And we back our work with a 50-year warranty and a 25-year algae warranty. Plus, no cost upgrades with 0% financing and no payment for 6 months.
For decades, I've taught you everything I know. But only you can prevent wildfires.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
It's been well over a week of seeing rainfall every single day here in North Mississippi. Now, some days it's a torrential downpour, other days some hit or miss showers. And I think that's going to be our story as we wrap up this week and head into the weekend. Is going to be some areas seeing heavy rainfall, but others not seeing much. And that's what we're getting with those rain chances. But once again, flash flood threat in place. Why is this in place if it's still hit or miss showers? Well, where the showers line up, where those boundaries happen, that's where we're going to be getting heavy outputs of rainfall, potentially an inch plus in some locations here in North Mississippi for our Thursday, but even continuing into our Friday with that level 1 threat in place for all of North Mississippi. As we look at our Mama Justice Doppler radar right now, not exactly getting that here in the North Mississippi area, but down south as we look out of our Jackson radar site, that's where rain chances are starting to increase once again. This is a boundary that doesn't really dissipate out overnight. It's attached to one of those low pressure systems. So as we head into those overnight hours, it's not a matter of how much, it's a matter of where those showers do line up. So as we see that boundary beginning to lift towards the north, it's going to remain right along the Mississippi River towards parts of Highway 61, even up there towards Cleveland, Shelby, and Clarksdale, an area that I'm watching for in regards to these rain chances. And heavy outputs as well. It's not an extreme lightning producer. We're only looking at about 50 strikes, but where those storms are moving through, it's not the lightning that's the story. It's, again, that heavy rainfall, as I said at the top of the broadcast. Our rainfall totals over the past 24 hours, definitely more missed than hit in the grand scheme of things. But where we got the rainfall, I do see some sections that got about a half of an inch over there towards Yalobusha County and Lafayette County, 1.5 inches. So that's what I'm talking about. Where these showers do happen, we're getting heavy outputs in addition to what has already been a soggy stretch here in North Mississippi. Looking towards Senatobia, about 3/4 of an inch. Colbert County, like I mentioned, just under an inch. Pickens County joining the party, about 0.28 inches there. And just southwest of Fulton, more towards the Moorville area. I guess that'd be closer to Nettleton right there. 3/4 of an inch showing up as well. Nonetheless, the rest of us, nothing. Yeah. So hit or miss, the story, and that will be the story for our Thursday. Let's get a look outside right now. Crenshaw coming in at 75 degrees. Why this reporting station matters? well, it's a very saturated forecast, but the wind's non-existent. And what we talked about at the top of the broadcast as well was the potential for some patchy fog. And I do think that's possible for parts of Crenshaw heading into that Thursday morning commute. Looking out of Tupelo, oh, that's a terrifying sight when I have to be driving in it. So some patchy fog here in Lee County as well. Mitchell, Cunningham, and Bowling sponsoring this view out of our Tupelo camera. And you can see 75, those dew points at 73. With very little wind, I do think that we're dealing with some patchy fog for our Thursday morning commute as those winds remain very calm across our viewing area, even down here towards Maben, 75 degrees. You almost get that haze there on the horizon, even though you can still see the night sky, even the stars basically reflecting off some of that light, or reflecting off some of that moisture a bit as well. So day planner overnight, we're keeping it at about 10 to 20% coverage because of those chances out there along the Mississippi River. But if you're in the far eastern portions of our viewing area, going to remain dry overnight. Temperature-wise, though, we're still in the low 70s. And let me go back there real quick. Did you see the winds? Yeah, non-existent. So I do think fog is definitely on the table for our Thursday morning commute. Our future cast highlighting this boundary that continues to lift up into the Mississippi River and Hollandale, Greenville, Cleveland, Shelby, Clarksdale areas. I'm watching for those additional rain chances overnight. And continuing into our morning forecast, our meteorologist Maggie McCauley going to be hard to find some of those showers, but she's going to be looking at those rain chances later on in the day as our rain chances are not done just yet. We're 68 Houston, Tupelo, and Amory, 67 Oxford and Holly Springs, 70 across the Mississippi River from Tunica to Greenville. So that moisture definitely adding a few degrees to those low temperatures, making it feel a little bit more of a mild environment for our Thursday morning plans. Now we are 69 degrees overall average there by 8 a.m., 79 by noon, and 83 showing up by the afternoon. You see rain chances increasing by the afternoon as well. And of course, we are tracking that countdown to August 1st. It's our countdown to not only the school year, but also our meteorologist Caleb Edelbluth's birthday. So happy birthday, Caleb. 65 days early. As we look at our UV index, you can see that where you get that sun to actually peek through, going to be a bit higher towards the Golden Triangle, but again, not getting that coverage for many locations here in the North Mississippi area. So as we look at our Thursday morning, still mostly dry with those mostly cloudy skies overhead. But as we go about the day, you can see how some isolated chances are possible. That's a heavy downpour that's closer to Soligent and Lamar County, going to eventually work its way towards Caledonia. If that holds together, definitely going to be seeing about an inch of rainfall with that individual cell. But where these pop-up showers do develop will change with each future cast. So I don't want you to look at that and think, oh, I'm in Soligent, I'm going to be seeing rainfall at 11 and 12 o'clock on Thursday. This could vary for sure, going northern Lamar County, maybe further south into Pickens County. Nonetheless, it shows that those chances are possible, and that's why we need to go ahead and make those preparations to have the umbrella in the back seat once again. But I talked about that secondary boundary that's beginning to lift its way towards the north. We're getting that out there towards the Delta by 3 o'clock and shifting its way further into North Mississippi by 6, 7, 8 o'clock on our Thursday evening. And with those chances come some brief heavy downpours as well. Again, the story getting into our Thursday. We're 85 Houston, Amory, and Columbus, 85 Greenwood and Belzona, 83 Clarksdale and Tunica, and 82 Boonville and Red Bay, Alabama. Our heat indices, though, that's really the story. We talked about that UV index. We need to also talk about that heat index. We're going to be feeling like 90 degrees in Monroe and Lowndes County if it does stay dry, but that rain-cooled air definitely a benefit to our forecast, and that'll help these temperatures feel a little bit more bearable. So looking at our Thursday evening, that stationary front still lingering overhead. Basically that cold front you saw a moment ago shifting into a stationary front, and it'll keep those rain chances around even into the evening hours, unfortunately. So not getting much of a break from those rain chances, but luckily coverage still remaining pretty isolated even during the pre-dawn hours of our Friday, but still packing a punch with that heavy rainfall, as this is going to be that initiating boundary for several more rain chances, not just overnight into our Friday morning, but extending into our Friday forecast overall. We're 69 Starkville, Columbus, and 67 in Vernon, Alabama. 70 still showing up Belzona and Greenville, 69 Tunica, Clarksdale, 67 Water Valley, Oxford, and Bruce, and 68 Tupelo and Amory. As we continue through that Friday futurecast, you can see those rain chances sticking around right along this boundary. So going to continue to develop overhead here in North Mississippi. And let me say, the day we don't have a stationary front right over the top of North Mississippi is going to be a glorious day. Unfortunately, it's not here just yet, and as we mix in the afternoon heating of the day along with that lifting mechanism of the stationary front, you can see the chances increasing on our Friday, and some of those chances going to be made along these bands of rainfall that continue to move through North Mississippi, even into northwest Alabama, and by the evening hours, increasing in coverage once again. That's why those Friday chances are upped a bit as well. We're 83 Tupelo, Houston, and Eupora, 83 Macon, 84 Kosciuszko, and 83 Cleveland and Grenada, but the heat indices bumping a few areas up those degrees as well. So again, the humidity playing a factor, and that's of course going to play a factor into next week as well. We'll look at that. Those temperature forecasts as well as that muggy meter or misery meter coming up at 10 o'clock tonight. So you want to tune into that because let me say, there is some good news on the horizon, but we're definitely dealing with a pretty soggy stretch once again. Not going to be as soggy as this past week, but an additional inch, 2 inches in some spots getting into the next 5-day stretch. But Monday and Tuesday, this is always a welcome sight. We're not expecting this much coverage, but yes, a pop-up sprinkle here and there as we go about that Monday forecast. Tuesday looking a bit drier as well. But this is much better than where things have been on our Weather Prediction Center forecast, and we're glad that things are definitely trending down. It starts with the weekend at 30% coverage there, Monday 20%, those sprinkles that I mentioned a moment ago. But Tuesday, not only is it mostly dry, we're mixing in some of that sunshine, and then by Wednesday, expecting abundant sunshine once again. And look at the temperatures. You know, usually you'd see sunshine and think, oh boy, here come the 90-degree forecast. We're only sitting at 80 degrees, even low temperatures starting to take a dip. So not only is it going to be drier, it's going to be feeling drier as well. The very welcome forecast that I feel like we all deserve here in North Mississippi. And if you're like me and the yard's becoming a jungle, next week, that's the day we need to star, circle, do whatever we need to, because that's when we're finally going to get that yard work done. And I know I'm excited. I know you guys are as well. I'm going to bring up the chat real quick before we wrap up tonight's broadcast, because I do want to make sure that I address a few questions here. So one of the things is Water Valley expecting any storms tonight. Yes, some rain chances are possible. Getting that far east might be a stretch, but I think up the Mississippi Delta and then up the Mississippi River areas we are watching. I see that Andy saying, I measured out the rainfall I've got these last several storms. My rainfall total is 4.77 inches. You know, I did the exact same thing, Andy, and we were just under 6 inches as of yesterday. So, Yes, just under 6 inches. Sorry, there were a lot of numbers that I had to remember. But yes, just under 6 inches there in northern Lee County. So definitely a big time event when we're talking rain chances. Is the weather going to be bad in the Tupelo, Mississippi area tonight and tomorrow? No. Bad? No. We are potentially seeing a strong storm by Friday, but you saw the coverage area, only about 20 miles into our viewing area. So not a significant portion of us under that threat. And even then, it's a minimal threat that I'm not really sold on seeing. So I think that we stay below severe limits tonight, tomorrow, and potentially some rumbles of thunder by Friday, but still need to see some things pan out before I'm sold on that severe weather threat. Anything for Saturday for Prentiss and Lee County? Well, of course, we are dealing with some scattered chances of rainfall. So if you do have any plans outside, make sure to abide by those chances. And if you want to chance it, it's fully up to you. But you can always check our forecast and our Mama Justice Doppler radar to track the latest on what's happening in your area on that specific day. And of course, a little precaution. We're continuing to see those rain chances linger into the weekend. Happy Wednesday night, everyone. Other than the heat, it was a beautiful day for me. Was a beautiful day. That is exactly right, Kim. I appreciate you mentioning that because it was a picture-perfect day if you stayed away from the rain chances. Unfortunately, for some of us, had to deal with that rainfall, lunchtime and into the afternoon. So tomorrow, same time frame that we're watching, lunchtime into the afternoon, where those rain chances will start to climb once again. And that rainy pattern continues into the weekend, so weekend plans will need to dodge some of those showers as well. Looking ahead to next week, though, things are looking much better. So you need to download that Mississippi Live Weather app to get the full breakdown on this forecast. And we're continuing to look at that in much more detail coming up tonight at 10 o'clock as well. Tune in for the latest on what's happening here in North Mississippi right there at 10 o'clock, right here from the Room to Room Weather Center. And don't forget our morning show with our meteorologist Maggie McCauley, 6:30, 7, and 7:30, right here from the Room to Room Weather Center. So keep it here for the very latest.
Growing up, Gabe was naturally curious. When he began to discover weather, Gabe just didn't want to know what was happening, but he wanted to know why it was happening. Gabe became fascinated with tornadoes and it impacted his life. He wanted to pursue a career in meteorology. Even though Gabe grew up in Alabama, Mississippi has now become his home and his family. And one thing about Gabe is he keeps his family safe.